1 month after the defeat of the Death Fleet, representatives from 17 alien species gathered in a newly built hall in Geneva. The Grand Chamber had been designed with areas to accommodate different atmospheric needs, gravity preferences, and body types. It was humanity's statement to the galaxy. All are welcome here. High Chancellor Zextar stood in the center of the chamber, his once proud posture now slumped. Guards from 6 different species surrounded him. Zextar of the Voraxian Empire, began Ambassador Collins, who presided over the gathering. You stand accused of crimes against sentient beings, illegal genetic experimentation, and waging war based on religious discrimination. The former chancellor raised his head. I acted to protect the galaxy from the human threat. No, Collins replied firmly. You acted to protect Voraxian dominance from change. The evidence is clear. The vote for his removal from power was unanimous. As he was led away to face trial, many in the chamber felt a chapter of galactic history closing. What followed was the formal dissolution of the old Galactic Council. In its place, the representatives began crafting a new charter for what would be called the Galactic Alliance. The old council was built on hierarchy and control, Collins explained to the assembly. This alliance will be founded on equality and cooperation. 2 weeks of negotiations followed, with Earth taking a central role. Humanity's resilience had earned respect, even from former enemies. When the time came to elect leadership for the new alliance, Ambassador Collins was nominated by the Trivaxian delegation. The humans have shown us a better path, Ambassador Krell stated. They fought not just for their own survival, but for justice. Collins became the first human to lead a galactic body, with representatives from 6 other species forming a balanced governing council. On Earth itself, rebuilding had begun. The planet bore scars from the war, craters, and damaged cities, but the shields had saved most major population centers. With help from alien allies, reconstruction moved faster than anyone had expected. The hybrid technologies developed during the war were now being adapted for peaceful purposes. Dr. Davis's quantum communication system connected the solar system instantaneously. Engineer Kelly's work on shield frequencies led to new forms of energy production. In orbit, a new station was taking shape, Harmony Base, which would serve as Earth's gateway to the galaxy. Ships from a dozen worlds came and went, carrying diplomats, scientists, and the first human tourists venturing to alien worlds. Colonel Winters, now General Winters, led the newly formed Alliance peacekeeping fleet. Their mission was not conquest, but protection, ensuring the peace hard-won through sacrifice. Captain Harrison headed the Alliance Intelligence Service, working to prevent future conflicts through understanding and communication, rather than secrecy and suspicion. 7 months after the war's end, Admiral Park and Commander Wright stood on the observation deck of Harmony Base. Below them, Earth shone blue and green against the blackness of space. Did you ever think we'd see this day? Wright asked, gesturing to the busy docking bays, where alien and human ships sat side by side. Honestly, no, Park admitted. When they first attacked, I thought we were finished. Wright nodded. The Council thought they knew us from studying our history, our wars, our divisions. They saw our capacity for violence but missed everything else. That was their mistake, Park said. They underestimated our greatest strength. Our technology. Park shook her head. Our spirit. Our refusal to give up, even when facing impossible odds. Our ability to set aside differences when threatened. Outside the viewport, a group of human children toured the station with young Trivaxians and Arcosians. They pointed excitedly at the stars, their futures now filled with possibilities none of their ancestors could have imagined. The old prophecy had it partly right. Wright said with a smile. Humanity did change the galaxy, just not in the way the Voraxians feared. As night fell across Earth, people looked up at the stars with new understanding. The points of light were no longer distant and unknown. They were destinations, homes of allies and friends. The day the Galactic Council turned on Earth had indeed become a turning point, not just for humanity, but for all intelligent life in the galaxy. And the stars felt a little closer now. The Varaxian Death Fleet arrived in Earth's orbit with a display of power meant to crush any remaining hope. Each ship was nearly the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that glowed with alien energy. Earth's defenders looked up at the night sky and saw new stars, the burning engines of the fleet that had come to end humanity. The outer defense grid fell within hours. The massive alien ships simply absorbed the defensive fire and pushed forward, their shields glowing but holding strong. In the command center, Admiral Park watched grimly as red indicators showed defense stations going dark one by one. "The inner grid won't last long against that firepower," Commander Wright said quietly. "Then we stick to the plan," Park replied. "Is the Asterisk Retribution Asterisk ready?" The Asterisk Retribution Asterisk was Earth's last hope, an experimental vessel built from salvaged alien technology and human ingenuity. It was smaller than a standard battleship, but carried the most advanced systems humans had ever created. Colonel Eric Winters stood on its bridge, reviewing the mission one final time with his crew. They were a mix of soldiers, scientists, and engineers, the best Earth had to offer. "Our target is the Death Fleet flagship," Winters explained, pointing to holographic schematics. "Dr. Washington's virus will be deployed directly into their central computer core. Engineer Kelly's shield frequency disruptor will create our window of opportunity." One of the crew raised a hand. "And if we can't reach the flagship?" Winters met her eyes steadily. "Then we make them pay for every inch of space until the last of us falls." The plan was desperate, but it was all they had. As the inner defense grid came under attack, Ambassador Collins was making her own last stand, with help from alien allies, Trivaxians, Arcosians, and others who had broken from the Council. She called for an emergency broadcast to all Council species. "The Varaxian leadership has deceived you," she announced, her face transmitted to thousands of worlds. "They didn't attack Earth because we were a threat. They attacked us because of a religious prophecy, one that High Chancellor Zextar has twisted to maintain Varaxian dominance." From a secure location, Captain Harrison activated the files they had stolen from Proxima Station. Images flashed across the galactic broadcast. Secret Varaxian laboratories where human DNA was being studied, internal communications revealing the Chancellor's true motives, and most damning of all, evidence of genetic experiments performed on humans without consent. "The Varaxians have violated the Council's most sacred laws," Collins continued. "They have conducted forbidden genetic research. They have launched a war based on religious superstition. And now they commit genocide against a species whose only crime was advancing too quickly." The broadcast reached every Council world, and every ship in the Death Fleet. Above Earth, the battle raged. The planetary shields were beginning to fail under the relentless bombardment. The Asterisk Retribution Asterisk slipped through the chaos, using the debris of destroyed stations as cover. "We're approaching the flagship," Colonel Winters reported, activating stealth systems. The experimental ship vanished from sensors, its hull absorbing light and energy rather than reflecting it. It drifted closer to the massive Varaxian command vessel. "Shield frequency disruptor ready," announced one of the engineers. "Virus package prepared for upload," added another. Colonel Winters took a deep breath. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Execute." The Asterisk Retribution Asterisk suddenly appeared less than a kilometer from the flagship's hull. Its weapons fired, targeting the exact shield frequency that Nathan Kelly had identified. For a brief moment, a section of the seemingly impenetrable barrier winked out of existence. In that instant, the virus was transmitted directly into the flagship's systems. Throughout the massive vessel, screens flickered and systems failed as Dr. Washington's creation spread through its networks. On the bridge of his mighty flagship, High Chancellor Zextar watched in horror as his control panels went dark one by one. Then, to his greater shock, the weapons of his own ship powered down. Throughout the Death Fleet, The same scene repeated as the virus spread from ship to ship through their linked command systems. The mighty Varaxian Death Fleet, pride of the galaxy's most powerful empire, hung powerless in Earth's orbit. 6 months into the war, Earth looked very different. Cities still stood under their energy shields, but between them lay scorched land where Council bombardments had broken through. Yet for every destroyed area, a new defense system or hidden base had been built. Humanity was adapting, just as the Varaxian prophecy had feared. In the underground research facility, known as Bunker 7, scientists and engineers from around the world worked tirelessly. Among them, Dr. Michelle Davis had made a breakthrough that could change the course of the war. The quantum communication system is ready for testing, she announced to Admiral Park and Commander Wright. If it works, we can coordinate attacks across the entire solar system without the Council listening in. The three of them stood before a device no larger than a microwave oven. It didn't look impressive, but it represented thousands of hours of work. How does it function? Wright asked. It uses quantum entanglement, Davis explained. When particles are entangled, what happens to one instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. The Council doesn't have this technology. Admiral Park nodded. Begin the test. Minutes later, ships around Mars and Jupiter received messages that were completely invisible to Council monitoring systems. For the first time since the war began, humanity could communicate in total secrecy. Now we can coordinate a system-wide counterattack, Park said, studying the tactical display. Operation Thunderstrike can begin. Over the next week, human forces prepared for the largest coordinated attack of the war. Ships gathered in the shadow of moons and asteroids. Soldiers and pilots memorized their objectives. Engineers worked around the clock to outfit vessels with weapons based on reverse-engineered alien technology. When the attack came, it struck 7 different sectors simultaneously. Council supply ships were ambushed near Saturn. Repair stations orbiting Jupiter were disabled. Communication relays near Mars were destroyed. On Proxima Station, High Chancellor Zextar received the reports with growing rage. How are they coordinating these attacks? He demanded, slamming his clawed hand on the table. Our sensors detect no communications. The few Council members still loyal to him had no answers. More species were withdrawing from the conflict each day as news of the ancient prophecy spread through galactic channels. The humans must be eliminated, Zextar declared. Prepare the Death Fleet. The Varaxian Death Fleet was the most powerful military force in the galaxy. 50 massive warships that had never been defeated. They had been held in reserve, protecting the Varaxian homeworld. On Earth, celebrations over Operation Thunderstrike's success were cut short when long-range sensors detected the Death Fleet's approach. They'll reach Earth in 3 days, reported Captain Harrison, now promoted to head of intelligence. Each of those ships carries enough firepower to break through our shields. In the war room beneath the Pentagon, President Fisher addressed the military leadership. We've survived this long because we've been clevered, she said. We've adapted enemy technology, found their weaknesses, and used their divisions against them. Now we need one more miracle. Nathan Kelly, the engineer who had discovered the shield vulnerability, stepped forward with Dr. Washington, creator of the computer virus. We've combined our technologies, Kelly explained. The virus can now target their shield frequencies automatically, finding vulnerabilities in real time. But we'd need to get close to their command ship to deploy it, Washington added. Their central systems are isolated. I volunteer, said Commander Wright immediately. Admiral Park shook her head. We'll need our best for this. I'll lead the mission myself. The meeting lasted deep into the night as they planned the desperate defense of Earth. Outside, civilians reinforced shelters and moved deeper underground. Children too young to remember peace drew pictures of stars and spaceships locked in battle. As the Death Fleet approached, smaller Council vessels pulled back, clearing a path for the massive warships. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. News of the victory at Jupiter spread quickly through the solar system. On Mars, the colonists launched their own attacks against the Council ships that had been blockading their settlement. On Europa, engineers used ice mining equipment to disable 2 Council patrol vessels. The resistance was spreading. 3 months into the war, Council commanders were shocked by how quickly humans adapted to space warfare. Ships that had been designed for mining now carried powerful weapons. Civilian pilots flew complex evasion patterns that veteran Council captains struggled to counter. In a secure bunker beneath what remained of Chicago, Admiral Park met with the military leadership. "The Council expected us to surrender after the first wave," she said, pointing to a holographic map of the solar system. "They never prepared for a long war." Red dots on the map showed Council ships. Blue dots showed human vessels. The red dots were becoming fewer each day. "They're also fighting among themselves," added Ambassador Collins. "The Travaxians have publicly withdrawn from the Council fleet. The Arcosians and Dendarians are refusing to send reinforcements." Commander Wright nodded. "Our intelligence suggests the Council species have never faced a united opponent before. They're used to quick surrenders or fighting pre-space civilizations." Meanwhile, Captain Gregory Harrison prepared for the most daring mission yet. A former spy before the war, Harrison had been chosen to lead a small team to infiltrate Proxima Station, the heart of Council territory. "Our Trivaxian allies will get you to the station," Admiral Park told him during the final briefing. "From there, you're on your own." Harrison's team consisted of 6 specialists, each chosen for their unique skills. Their mission: access the Council's central database and discover why Earth had really been targeted. The journey to Proxima took 2 weeks aboard a disguised Trivaxian transport. When they arrived, Ambassador Krell provided them with forged identities as maintenance workers. "The Council is in disarray," Krell told them, his translator device converting his natural whistling language into English. "Many species question this war, especially as human resistance grows stronger." Harrison and his team moved through the station carefully, avoiding the main corridors used by Council members. Using access codes provided by Krell, they entered the secure archives late in the station's night cycle. "We have 30 minutes before the security systems reset," warned Diane Miller, their tech specialist. She connected her device to the central terminal. "I'm starting the download now." While the others stood guard, Harrison browsed through the files as they copied. "Wait," he said suddenly. "Look at this." The screen showed an ancient text, translated into multiple languages. Harrison read the Common Galactic Translation. "And there shall come a species born of the 3rd planet, who adapt and overcome all challenges. They shall rise to the stars, and if not controlled, shall become the dominant power in all the galaxy." "A prophecy?" asked Miller, looking over his shoulder. "These are religious texts from the Varaxian homeworld," Harrison confirmed. "They're over 10,000 years old." Further files revealed the truth. The Varaxians, who controlled the largest faction in the Council, believed humans were the species mentioned in their ancient prophecies. They had invited Earth to join the Council to study humans closely, then voted to eliminate them once they confirmed humanity's rapid technological advancement matched their prophecy. "They attacked us because of a religious text?" Miller asked in disbelief. "Fear is often wrapped in religion," Harrison replied grimly. "Download everything." As the team made their escape, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. On screens throughout Proxima, news spread that the Arcosian delegation had officially withdrawn from the Council, followed immediately by the Dendarians. "The Galactic Council is fracturing," Ambassador Krell told them as they rushed back to the ship. "Many species now see this war as unjust. Some even suggest the Varaxians engineered this conflict for their own purposes." As their ship departed Proxima Station, Harrison watched through the viewport as Council vessels fired upon each other. Arcosian ships protecting Dendarian transports from Varaxian attackers. The war had spread beyond Earth. The entire galactic order was coming apart. And humanity, despite all odds, was still fighting. 2 weeks after the initial attack, Earth launched what appeared to be desperate, scattered counterattacks against the Council blockade. Small human ships darted out from behind the moon, fired at Council vessels, then retreated before they could be destroyed. The Council commanders laughed at these seemingly pointless efforts. What they didn't realize was that each attack had a purpose. Every engagement collected vital data about their ships, weapons, and defenses. In an underground lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Olivia Washington reviewed the incoming data streams. As Earth's leading expert in alien computer systems, she had been working day and night on a special project. The Varaxian systems are similar to what we've seen before, she explained to the team of programmers around her. But their security protocols are much stronger. She pulled up a complex diagram on her screen. That's why we're building this virus. It doesn't try to break their security. It tricks the system into thinking it belongs there. Across the room, Admiral Park and Commander Wright watched the progress with cautious hope. Will it work? Wright asked quietly. It has to, Park replied. We can't win a direct fight. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ryan Carter prepared for the most dangerous mission of his life. He and 5 other soldiers had volunteered for what many considered a suicide mission, hijacking the Council scout ship. Remember, Carter told his team as they geared up in the hidden lunar base, we need that ship intact. Minimal damage to the computer systems. Their small stealth vessel departed during a meteor shower to mask their approach. They drifted alongside space debris, using it as cover to approach their target, a Corellan scout ship patrolling the edge of the blockade. Carter and his team exited their craft in spacesuits designed to mask their heat signatures. They moved slowly across the void, magnetic boots connecting with the hull of the alien vessel. Breaching point located, whispered Sergeant Linda Cooper over the comm. She placed a specialized cutting tool against the hull and activated it. Minutes later, they were inside. 2 Corellan crew members were quickly subdued with stun weapons. I've got the bridge, Carter reported, securing the last alien crew member. Start the download. While his team connected Dr. Washington's specialized devices to the ship's computers, Carter discovered something unexpected in the captain's quarters. Private communications between Council members. There's dissent in the Council, he reported back to Earth after reviewing the messages. The Trivaxians, Dendarians, and Arcosians all voted against attacking us. This information spread quickly among Earth's leadership. If the Council wasn't unified, there might be potential allies among them. The revelation was confirmed when, 3 days later, a heavily encrypted message reached Earth's defense headquarters. It came from Ambassador Krell of the Trivaxians. People of Earth, the message began. Not all Council species support this unjust aggression. The Trivaxian Collective has withdrawn from Council military operations. We wish to open secret communications with your leaders. President Fisher called an emergency meeting to discuss this unexpected development. Can we trust them? Asked the Secretary of Defense. The Trivaxians were always the most diplomatic in our Council dealings, Ambassador Collins noted from her secure location. She had managed to escape Proxima Station with help from sympathetic aliens, and their biology makes deception difficult for them. Trust but verify, ordered the President. Open communications but proceed with caution. While this diplomatic channel developed, humanity scored its first major victory. Using information from the hijacked scout ship, Earth forces launched a coordinated strike against the Council blockade near Jupiter. Admiral Park led the attack herself, commanding a fleet of retrofitted cargo ships and the few military vessels that had survived the initial assault. All ships target the frequencies provided by quantum labs, she ordered. When the Earth ships fired, their weapons bypassed the Council vessels' shields completely. The aliens, caught by surprise, lost 12 ships in the first volley. The shields are down, shouted Captain Peter Dawson from the bridge of the Resilience *. Nathan Kelly's frequency data worked. By the end of the battle, the Jupiter blockade was broken. Supplies could once again reach the outer colonies. For the first time since the attack began, humanity dared to hope. The Council wasn't invincible after all. The attack came at dawn. Council ships descended on Earth's orbital defense stations with overwhelming force. Beams of energy tore through the darkness of space, connecting alien vessels to human outposts in deadly lines of light. In the command center beneath Denver, Commander Wright watched as the first orbital platform exploded. "Status report," he shouted over the alarms. "Platforms 3 through 7 are gone." A young officer replied, her voice shaking. 9 and 12 are holding. The rest report heavy damage. On screens around the room, footage showed alien ships moving into low orbit. From their undersides, smaller craft deployed, thousands of them, heading toward major cities. "Activate planetary shields," Wright ordered. The shields were Earth's newest defense technology, developed after studying the limited alien tech they had managed to acquire. No one knew if they would hold against a full Council attack. Around the world, massive energy domes flickered into existence over cities. The alien vessels opened fire, their weapons striking the shields with tremendous force. In New York, people watched in terror as the shield above them rippled under the assault. In Beijing, the dome flickered dangerously. In Cairo, the shield held firm but glowed red-hot at the impact points. Aboard the Defiance Asterisk, Admiral Susan Park coordinated what remained of Earth's space forces. "All ships form defensive perimeter Alpha," she commanded. "Protect the Mars transit corridor at all costs." Earth had colonies on Mars and Europa, small outposts with thousands of civilians. If the Council cut them off, those people would be stranded. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "we're detecting massive FTL disruption fields at all jump points in the system." Susan's heart sank. "They're blocking the routes." "Mars and Europa are cut off," the officer confirmed. In her command chair, Susan made a difficult decision. "Launch the emergency supply drones to both colonies. If we can't reach them, they'll need to be self-sufficient." Meanwhile, at Quantum Defense Labs in Seattle, Nathan Kelly worked frantically at his terminal. As head engineer, he had been studying Council technology for years. Now, every bit of that knowledge might mean the difference between survival and extinction. "There's a pattern here," he muttered, reviewing sensor data from the attacks. His team huddled around him, watching as he analyzed the enemy ship's shield frequencies. Their primary shields operate on a rotating matrix, but they all share a base frequency, Nathan explained. "If we can identify the pattern and target that frequency directly, we could take down all their shields at once," finished his colleague, Dr. Beth Winters. Nathan nodded. "But we'd need to get close enough to one of their ships to extract the full frequency sequence." In Washington, D.C., President Fisher addressed a frightened nation from an underground bunker. "Today, the Galactic Council has shown its true intentions," she said, her face resolute on screens across the planet. "They offered friendship with one hand while holding a weapon in the other." Outside, the shields continued to absorb attack after attack. In some cities, they were beginning to fail. "I want to be clear," the president continued. "Humanity will not surrender. We will not be subjugated. We have never bowed to tyrants on Earth, and we will not bow to them from the stars." Cheers erupted in bunkers and shelters around the world. In the ruins of London's partially destroyed shield generator, soldiers and civilians worked side by side to restore power. On Mars, Colony Governor Frank Miller gathered his people to announce they were on their own. In the secretive lunar base Alpha, engineers began retrofitting mining vessels with experimental weapons. Across Earth and beyond, humanity began to organize, to plan, to fight back. In his lab, Nathan Kelly looked up from his terminal with a spark of hope in his eyes. "I think I found something," he said. "A vulnerability in their defense systems. It's not much, but it's a start." He pulled up a holographic blueprint. "We're calling it Operation Trojan Horse." 5 years had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. Samantha Collins hurried through the curved hallways of Proxima Station, her heart racing. Her aide had woken her in the middle of the night cycle with alarming news. "What do you mean, emergency session?" she demanded, falling into step beside Jack Martinez. His military uniform was rumpled, suggesting he'd been roused from sleep as well. Council chambers, full attendance, and Earth wasn't notified, Jack said, his voice tight. My Travaxian contact risked everything to warn us. They rounded a corner to find the massive doors to the council chamber sealed. 2 Varaxian guards stood at attention. Ambassador Collins requesting entry, Samantha announced, trying to keep her voice steady. The session is closed, Ambassador, the taller guard replied without emotion. I represent Earth, a full council member. By charter, all members must be present for emergency sessions. Orders from High Chancellor Zextar himself. No Earth representatives permitted. Samantha was about to protest when her communication device chimed urgently. The message made her blood run cold. Massive council fleet movements detected near Earth's orbit. Jack, she whispered, showing him the message. They retreated to a quiet alcove. Jack's military training took over. We need to warn Earth. Now. 3 hours later, in Earth's Orbital Defense Headquarters, Commander Daniel Wright stared at the tactical display in disbelief. More than 200 alien vessels had appeared at the edge of the solar system, and they were moving inward fast. Status of defense platforms, he asked, his voice echoing through the command center. All stations at combat readiness, replied Lieutenant Carla Hayes. But sir, we're outgunned at least 10-1. On the main screen, a communication request flashed. The sender, High Chancellor Zextar. Wright nodded, and the screen filled with the Varaxian leader's scaled face. Commander Wright, Zextar began without preamble. The Galactic Council has made its determination. Earth has been classified as a developmentally hazardous species. On what grounds? Wright demanded. Evidence presented to the Council proves that humans are genetically predisposed to violence and territorial expansion beyond acceptable parameters. For the safety of all civilized species, Earth must submit to immediate military disarmament and Council oversight. Wright's jaw tightened, and if we refuse, then we will be forced to neutralize the threat. The Chancellor's multiple eyes blinked slowly. You have 6 hours to begin surrendering your weapons and defense systems. The connection terminated. Get me the President, Wright ordered. Aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship *Defiance*, Admiral Susan Park reviewed the sensor data with growing alarm. The Council ships had taken position around Earth's orbital defense grid, maintaining a blockade formation. Admiral, called out her science officer, Alex Ramirez. I've been analyzing their communications. Something's not right. Explain. They're discussing human DNA samples and genetic adaptability markers. These aren't military communications. They sound more like scientific research. Susan's eyes narrowed. Find out what they're talking about. Meanwhile, in the White House Situation Room, President Laura Fisher faced the grim faces of her Security Council. The evidence is clear. Ambassador Collins explained via secure transmission from her now-locked embassy on Proxima Station. The Council fears us, Madam President. They've been studying us for years, and something about humanity terrifies them. Recommendations, the President asked. From a military standpoint, we can't win a direct confrontation, said the Joint Chiefs Chairman. But we can make them pay dearly for every inch. Madam President, Commander Wright's voice came through the speakers. Admiral Park has discovered something. The Council has been secretly harvesting human DNA samples. We believe they fear our adaptability, our ability to overcome challenges and advance rapidly. The President stood, her decision made. Send this message to the High Chancellor. Earth refuses their ultimatum. We will not surrender our sovereignty or our right to defend ourselves. In space, the Council ships began to move. On Earth, defense systems activated as millions looked to the sky in fear and defiance. The betrayal was complete. The war for humanity's survival had begun. The stars looked different from Proxima Station. Samantha Collins stared through the vast observation window, her eyes tracing unfamiliar constellations. After 6 months as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, she still couldn't believe humanity had finally taken its place among the stars. The message had arrived on Earth in 2157, just 3 years after humans developed functional faster-than-light travel. The Galactic Council, a coalition of 27 spacefaring species, had been watching Earth for decades. Now that humans had crossed the FTL threshold, they were eligible for membership. Samantha adjusted her blue diplomatic uniform as a pair of tall, four-armed Endarians walked past. Most alien species still made her nervous, but she was getting better at hiding it. Today was important. The Council had promised the first major technology exchange since Earth's admission. Ambassador Collins, a voice called from behind her. Your thoughts seem distant. Samantha turned to see High Chancellor Zextar approaching. The Voraxian leader stood nearly 7 feet tall, his scaled skin shimmering with an iridescent purple glow. Despite his imposing appearance, his eyes, all 6 of them, conveyed what Samantha had learned was amusement. Just homesick, Chancellor, she replied with a practiced smile. Earth looks quite small from here. All homeworlds do, Ambassador. The perspective is humbling, is it not? The Chancellor gestured toward the meeting chambers. The Technology Committee awaits us. As they walked, Samantha sent a quick message on her comm device to Jack Martinez, Earth's military liaison, stationed on Proxima. The Chancellor was being unusually friendly today. Inside the grand circular chamber, representatives from various planets sat around a massive table. Some species Samantha recognized. The crystalline Arcosians, the gaseous Travaxians contained in their environmental suits, the insectoid Corellans. Others remained mysterious even after months of diplomacy. We begin the 147th Technology Exchange Committee meeting, announced Councillor Vrax of the Corellans. First item: Earth's request for medical nanite technology. What followed was 3 hours of bureaucratic delays and technical objections. By the end, not a single technology transfer had been approved. This marked the 5th consecutive meeting with the same outcome. Perhaps Earth's industrial base is not yet ready for these advancements, suggested Councillor Trivnax of the Travaxians, her voice distorted through her translation device. We must be cautious. Samantha fought to keep her frustration hidden. With respect, Earth was promised exchange of basic medical technology upon admission. Our scientists are more than capable. Perhaps in another cycle. Zextar interrupted smoothly. These matters cannot be rushed. After the meeting, Samantha stormed down the corridor toward the Earth Embassy section of the station. Jack Martinez was waiting, his military uniform crisp despite the late hour. Same result? He asked, though her face had already given him the answer. Something isn't right, Jack. It's been a year of promises and zero delivery. Samantha lowered her voice. Have your sources found anything? Jack glanced around before responding. Fleet movements. Council military vessels have been gathering near the Ta City checkpoint. That's the quickest route to Earth from here. Routine exercises. That's what they claim. But my contact in the Travaxian delegation says these aren't exercises. They're building up forces while trying to look like they're not. Samantha sighed. And the technology transfers. Delayed intentionally. My source thinks we were never meant to receive them. But why invite us to join the Council in the first place? Jack's expression darkened. To study us up close. Learn our weaknesses. In her private office, Samantha reviewed transmissions from Earth. Scientists were reporting unusual scanner readings near Pluto, brief energy signatures that didn't match known patterns. Earth Defense Force had increased patrols but found nothing concrete. As she prepared her daily report to Earth's president, Samantha couldn't shake a growing sense of dread. The warmth of the Council's welcome was fading. The promises of a golden age of cooperation seemed increasingly hollow. In the shadows of the Council's grand halls, something was building. Humanity had reached for the stars with hope and optimism. But perhaps the universe wasn't waiting with open arms after all. Samantha looked out at the distant pinpoint that was Sol. Earth's sun. Something told her that humanity's real test was just beginning.